start negative. Keep going on this negative trajectory going on.
Yeah.
Disappointing performances, man. Who were some of the guys you expected to play better that didn't play as well as you wanted them to?
Yeah, I mean, Armstead,
Yep.
number one. Public enemy, number one tackle, one penalty. Ayuk, again, was a non-factor, 0 catches, in and out of the game. So that's definitely disappointing. And then I would say, honestly, that's probably really it for me. I don't think anybody else played horrible by any means. The interior, the defensive line early on was a little off, but again, a lot of that was game plan. I'm really not that disappointed with a lot of individuals. Kyle a little bit. We just talked about that obviously,
Right.
but as far as the players go, definitely disappointed in what we didn't see from Ayuk or Armstead.
Yeah, I think Armstead and Ayuk are definitely Ayuk obviously just didn't get an opportunity, right? I don't think he even got a target this game, so you can't really blame him if he doesn't even get a chance to.
No, for sure.
Ball,
but
right?
I mean, if he's not better than Sherfield or Sanu, like that's disappointing in itself.
Right.
Like if you can't see the field, like that's a disappointment. So
yeah, Armstead, I think definitely was a little disappointed in Juszczyk. I mean, he wasn't utilized very well. And I don't think that, I didn't see his normal like blocking prowess like I used to. So I think he needs to sharpen up a little bit. Kittle, once again, I mean, when he got the ball, he beasted out, but I think he only got 2 catches if I'm remembering right. They went
4 catches for 78.
4 catches for 78. So big yards, but I felt like it was a quiet 78 yards. You know what I mean? Like it didn't seem like super impactful like he usually is. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think I don't think it's individuals that played badly. It was more I think just the coaching staff. I think this game getting so close is on the coaching staff more than the players, which is something that we can't normally say, right? Usually it's, the players play the game, but I think all the players were actually playing pretty well, and they just were told to ease up, and that's when Detroit was able to make their comeback.
For sure.
But let's go to a positive standout performers. So I think there were quite a few, at least 2 or 3 that definitely stood out, guys that maybe we didn't expect to play as well as they did.
For sure.
Why don't you go ahead and talk about these guys, Jesse?
Yeah, obviously Debo, right? Like that's the most obvious one. Absolute beast. That was one of my big players going into the season. I said that Debo is going to put the league on notice this year, and he's starting out very early with that. So I love to see that. Debo is my favorite player on this team, and I just think he's a hell of a player, hell of a football player overall. And he really, really showed out today. He had the fumble, which was disappointing, but outside of that, I mean, he went absolutely bonkers today. Yeah. So Debo's one. The player that really stepped up, especially after Greenlaw left, was Azeez Al-Shaair.
Man,
he had an impact on the game. He had the play against Hawkinson towards the end of the game where he knocked the ball out of his hands. I thought that was a great play by him. It was a pick route. He was able to navigate through that and dislodge the ball from Hawkinson. So I thought that was a very good play. And I just thought overall he played really well. And to that point, Greenlaw, I mean, up until he got injured, he was playing very well also. So those are the 3 for me that really stood out. And, I left a big one for you, and then I'm sure you have a couple that you also like to see. So,
yeah, I mean, I think Debo obviously was great. Azeez was amazing. Like, I think he played a big role in slowing down those running backs because he was really the spy on those running backs coming out of the backfield. He had a lot of great plays. I mean, I remember that one against Swift where in the backfield, it was like a little screen and he just kind of blew that up in the backfield, which was amazing to see. he seems a lot faster than he used than
he does
before. So
yes.
If he could play that way, I think this linebacking core just goes up. But I think the MVP of this game has to be Elijah Mitchell, right?
For sure.
He to step in and have over 100 yards, touchdown, to play the way that he played. Like when Mostert goes down and you see no Trey Sermon, it's like, oh my God, this is like, what are we gonna do? And then Mitchell just comes in, calm, cool, collect, like he's supposed to be the starter, and just blows up, the rushing game. And look, I don't think Deebo has the game that he has if Mitchell isn't running as well as he's running, right? Because everything's off the play action for the 49ers. And, props to, the 49ers are, everybody has their opinions about, how they draft in the first 3 rounds. But 5th round on, they hit like a lot, right? Yeah, and maybe they should just trade all of their top 3 round picks and get like situated players and like stars and all this kind of stuff, and just pick from the 5th round on, because those guys end up being like very productive players, especially when they pick running backs 5th round and below, or even undrafted running backs. And it's great to see that Mitchell, and it's really weird, man. They didn't even really, I think it felt like Hasty got like 3 attempts and everything else was just Mitchell, which is weird because usually they do it by committee, but I guess they really trust Mitchell, and it showed why. He played amazing. I'm pretty sure he's off of everybody's waiver wire at this point. Or everybody put in for the waiver wire in fantasy for him if he's not already drafted to your league.
For sure.
And then I really liked, I think Tart played well. I think, Ward had kind of like a quiet game, but, Tart had some pretty big tackles. Fred Warner was solid, but the 3 you mentioned, I think were obviously Mitchell, I think were the biggest ones. I want to give props to Kentavious Street for coming in and, being a disruptor as well. Nick Bosa, I think, played well. But look, I think Mitchell, Deebo, Alshire are the 3 studs that really came out of this game. And for these guys to be people that we weren't depending on necessarily, I think is a good sign, because these other guys that we are depending on are only going to get better. And it's great to see that we have a team where a new star can show up every single time. And I think that's a great way to keep moving into this season. So, to continue, I still think this is a playoff team, regardless of the injuries. I still think we have the ability to make, to be one of the best teams in the NFC West. Like everybody in the NFC West look good. The Rams are looking good right now. So it's the best division for a reason. So yeah, man. And before we leave, man, let's